You can't edit a wedding in Lightroom. Lightroom's too slow. You have to use Photo Mechanic. You have to use Capture One. Have you heard this before? I hear it all the time, and I don't get it. I personally edit everything inside of Lightroom, and I have developed a workflow that allows me to do it pretty quickly. I can edit a wedding in less than 4 hours by doing all of my culling inside of Lightroom, using an AI editor to process my images, reviewing them, and then uploading them to my gallery for clients. What's up? My name is Jay LeBlanc, wedding photographer and photography educator. Today I'm going to show you how I cull a wedding inside of Lightroom, and you'll get to see a little bit of behind the scenes of my process of how I go through a wedding day. So come along, let's jump into Lightroom and check this out. Alright, let's jump right in. First thing I'm going to do is let everybody know when I am culling inside of Lightroom. For the most part, I stay in this grid view. Unless I need to compare an image or check focus, the way I'm able to edit so quickly is by staying in the grid view. So when I first arrived, the bride was getting her makeup done, as they usually are, and I like to start with the details, but I happened to see this one cool shot, and I just took the opportunity to get a quick picture of her getting her makeup in the process. I don't love any of these, and I wound up shooting something a little bit different later on that I liked a little bit more, so I'm just going to skip all of those right away. Then I have just a standard lay flat shot. Because you're shooting straight down, sometimes the camera doesn't know the orientation that you are shooting. So I'm just going to use command bracket to rotate the images the correct way. In the beginning, I started off with just like the invitation, some jewelry and flowers. We'll take one of those. Everything that I rate with 2 stars. And I will explain a little bit more about that in a minute as we get further into the editing. But I am just looking at these pictures like, that's okay, cool. We're going fast, gonna rotate these, check it out. I don't love the bottom of the shoe there, so we're gonna go with that one. I like it. Let's say just took a couple of the invitation and just a little bit different style than a lay flat. That one looks cool. Do a horizontal as well in case they want to use it inside the album and want some options. Through the rings and the flowers. I think that was a correct orientation. Honestly, I don't even remember. Another picture of the invitation here. There's one, something a little bit different. Yeah, it's okay. We'll keep it. Then they had this little jewelry tray that they wanted photographed, so I just did that real quick. Wasn't crazy about the idea of it because I feel like it took away from the jewelry, but you know what? They gave it to me, so I shot it. Alright, next we had some dress pictures, just nice standard straight on. You'll notice some of these pictures already have 2 stars on it. It's because I did a same day edit for the couple, and those pictures were already selected by me and edited, so I am just going to include those with our selection. So I see that I already have a dress picture right here, so I'm not even going to bother selecting another dress shot that's similar to that one. I will get one that's a little bit more centered and close up, like that. Cool. This one, don't love it. We have a nice little wide angle shot in the horizontal manner. We'll go with that one. I already have 2 stars where it shows the little details of her hanger there with her shoes. That's kind of cool. Then I grabbed a couple more pictures of her getting her makeup done. This is what I was talking about. I had a couple more through the glass. It looked okay, but I know that there's other ones I like even more after this. I'm going to select some of these with the makeup artist because I always like sending pictures to other vendors involved in the day, and I know the makeup artist will appreciate having some pictures with them in it. So I like to help out the other vendors when I can as well, and that's how you build relationships in this industry. So here she's actually getting her makeup done, and I don't usually love taking pictures while the bride's getting her makeup done because sometimes makeup artists do some things that may not look the best in the moment, but the end product, it'll look really good. So what I usually like to do, and you'll see in a second, is I do like fake getting ready shots. So we wait until the makeup's totally done, and then we do some fake pictures, make it look like they're having their makeup done in slightly better lighting, because I also am not a huge fan of the ring lights. I mean, you can see right here in this picture that I shot, we have 2 different light panels, and they're very clearly 2 different color temperatures, and I don't love those. So I'm just going to try to avoid any pictures that are in front of these lights just because you're going to have weird color casts, and you also have the natural light coming in from all of these windows, plus the super warm lights that they had in the room. So you had a lot of different colors going on here. So I'm not crazy about these, and you'll see in a minute where I move the bride to a different location where I thought there was better lighting. So we're going to go back to our grid view. Now I use a lot of keyboard shortcuts, and going between grid, I use G, and if I want to enlarge a picture, we hit E. So E to enlarge, G to go back to grid. And I'll be using those a lot as we're going through this. It just helps speed up the workflow by knowing those keyboard shortcuts. And here I just got a couple pictures of the bride's sister, just talking to her, chatting her up while she's getting her makeup done. Cute little moment over here. Maybe we'll take that. And then the mom came over to me and gave me the bride's perfume. Said she wanted a picture of it. So cool. Did a quick little product shot. This is why, as a wedding photographer, you got to know so many different styles of photography, because you never know what you're going to photograph. Like, one second you're photographing people, and the next second you're photographing products. So it's good to be well versed in different styles of photography. I always say, even if you don't love weddings, shooting weddings will make you decent at almost every type of photography. You may not be an expert in the field, but you got to know a lot of different styles of photography in order to be good at weddings. If you're enjoying this so far, if you could do me a huge favor, like, subscribe, leave a comment, ask me some questions, tell me that I'm a terrible photographer, or if there's anything that you want me to explain more in depth about what I did in the wedding day or how I'm editing, please feel free to leave a comment below. I love to hear your feedback. Even if I don't respond to everybody, I do read everyone's comments, and I take them into consideration for future videos. Thanks. Now, back to editing. There's these cool signs that were on the chairs, so I was just shooting them. The bride was actually getting ready in the room that the ceremony was going to be in. She really wanted an outdoor ceremony, but unfortunately it was raining all day, so we had to do it inside. But this room is beautiful, lots of natural window light, and I really like shooting in it. And this was the shot that I was talking about. So there's actually like a plant that's causing a shadow on the window that's making it a little bit darker than the light from outside. So you can see like the bride here in the dark part of what is actually a reflection of a plant here. And it makes for an interesting picture. I'm going to select it. I don't know if she'll like it, but I kind of like it. Couple little makeup shots here. Not crazy about them. I like this one of the bride checking herself out in the mirror. Cool little shot. Like I said, like right here, yeah, I can correct this white balance very easily, but that's that really cool color that you're getting from the makeup artist light, which it looks cool for when they want to do their thing, but for me, I'm not crazy about it. So I'm just going to skip those because I know I have better shots later on. And again, I have a couple pictures of the makeup artist right here, just chatting up the bride, like, hey, what's going on? Check out this TikTok I just did of you. So then what we did, we moved the bride to a different area where there wasn't artificial lighting. I mean, a lot of natural light. So we had this nice, beautiful, soft light that just wrapped around her, and it made for much, much better lighting for doing her makeup shots. And here she's not even having her makeup done. We just kind of faked it. Whenever I do these fake makeup shots, I always ask the makeup artist to do something on her cheeks and then something on her lips, whether it's a pencil or lip gloss or lipstick. And then we like to do something on her eyes as well, because that usually is an awesome opportunity to really show off the bride's eyes, especially if they have really pretty eyes. They'll appreciate a picture like that. Then we do a couple pictures before the bride gets ready of her just like playing with her dress. I tell her to, just feel it, admire it. It's the dress they've been dreaming about since they were a little girl. So you gotta tell them to enjoy it before they put it on. And as you see, there are a couple shots I already selected from the same day edit here. And I think that's good. Then we just got a quick shot of the bride and her sister in their robes. They just asked for it before they went and got dressed. Some cool pajamas that are just custom made with, maid of honor and bride on it. Picture them looking at each other. Just very, very standard stuff. Nothing super creative or different. But they will appreciate these pictures. So it's always nice to shoot them for the couples. And then we threw mom in the mix, and we have a full length here, so we'll do a 3/4 here, one with them leaning their heads in, nice smiles, cool. Then we grab some champagne glasses, a little toast here. have them cheers. You know, I say a little joke and get a nice little natural laugh out of them. I don't even remember what I said in the moment, but I always make really bad dad jokes, and it just always gets a little chuckle out of people instead of saying, "Oh, now everybody look at each other and fake laugh." Nah, I'm not about that. I used to do that, and I realized there are much better ways of going about it, and you get a little bit more of a sincere laugh, even if it's just a smirk. It's real, opposed to just faking, like, staring at each other with a smile on your face. It's a little weird. We have a picture of the bride and her mom, cool, looking at each other. We got a full length here, and then let's see. I like that with their heads nice and close to each other. Cool. Then we had the bride go and step into her dress, and we're gonna have her sister help her button up the back and put it on. There was no bridal party for this wedding. There was a maid of honor, her sister, and then there was a best man, the groom's brother, and that was it. So it was very, very simple. That one's already selected. Look at that. I was gonna say, oh, that's a good picture, and I already selected it from the same day edit. It's a cool picture of the sister helping out, getting the dress done. One of her sister looking at the bride while she was getting ready, and then one where the bride's in focus, and one with the bride looking at me and the sister looking at the bride. Just a couple different combinations of where they're looking. And then we'll have her playing with her ring, and then mom jumped in there for some assistance. You know, we got to get mom involved too. She's so happy. It's her little girl getting married on her big day. You know, we always tell the bride to see what mom's doing, make sure that she's doing it right, because sometimes moms are like, who knows what I'm doing right now, because I didn't pay attention at the dress fitting. But some moms are like on point. So I just always make a little joke about it to make sure that the bride's approving of whatever the mom's doing, even if she's not actually doing anything. It just makes for a nice little smile. Then we got the sister over here. I honestly have no idea what she's doing, so I'm just going to skip those pictures because it's just awkward in my opinion. I don't even know what I was shooting there. And then mom helping our bride again with her bracelet. And funny enough, mom didn't have her glasses, so she wasn't able to see the clasp. So look at that. You can even tell that she had no ability of seeing what she was doing, and that bracelet wasn't even actually on the bride. But it made for a cute moment, and then you just make a joke about it, and you get a nice little natural laugh out of them. Cool. And then we have the bride putting her earrings in. I always go back and forth on having somebody else help put earrings in or just having the bride do it herself, just because earrings, I feel like, are hard to have somebody else help you with, and if you're somebody who wears earrings regularly, it's probably a lot easier for you to just do it on your own. So I like to get a shot like this where you can see the earring and see the bride putting them on. Even if they're not actually putting them on here, they're just kind of showing them off. It's always nice to flaunt your jewelry a little bit. Cool. And another picture, and then she's just looking at me smiling. I don't even know why. I probably said something stupid, and we got a cool picture. Then we got pictures of our sister putting her shoes on the bride. Cool. I don't know. What do we like? One little detail shot. One where she's really focused. Yeah, we got another cool detail shot there. Oh, look at that. Totally misfocused, but I did get the videographer's tripod in the background. Yeah, good job, Jay. Those are the pictures that just never make the final gallery. I like that. I guess we like the sister looking at her. Cool. And then we went into a first look with Dad. And have her just step up behind her. We always instruct Dad to make sure that he turns towards the camera because we don't want to look at the back of his head. And we get a cool reaction. And now I don't have it here in my images, but my second shooter is focusing solely on Dad's face. So we have nice tight close-ups almost over the bride's shoulder of Dad's reaction, which always make for really, really nice pictures to give the couple and for something to remember. You know, some dads just break down crying. Some dads are just super excited, like, hey, that's my baby girl getting married. And then it's just a beautiful moment between a dad and his daughter. Cool little hug action here. Love it. And they awkwardly look at me and smile like, okay, what do we do, Jay? Like, okay, well, let's get closer to each other and smile. Yeah, that's what we like. And we'll have dad give her a kiss on the cheek. Not too much, dad, because we don't want to mess up the makeup. All right, now we're going into first look with our bride and groom. So I like to do a shot like this where I have the groom in the foreground, just totally throwing him out of focus though, and even though you can tell it's the groom, and then the bride in the background just slowly making her way up. It's just makes for a fun shot. I like that right there. And then he's looking all serious, holding it together. I always ask the bride if they're taking bets on if the groom will cry or not. It's usually a topic of conversation at some point, either during rehearsal or prior to the wedding or even during the getting ready process. And we have the bride walking up behind him. Ooh, she's right behind him, smiling, tap him on the shoulder. We'll get all of these. Oh, there he goes, turn around. That's already selected and edited. And we get the big reaction and the reveal. And again, I have my second shooter shooting right over the bride's shoulder, getting solely the groom's reaction. Cool, big hug, lots of love. Here we go. And they step back, check out the dress, tell her that it's beautiful. Talk to each other, hide from the camera, the tears. It's okay. We all know what's going on. This is why I love doing first looks. It's a beautiful moment. It usually gives the groom an opportunity to let those emotions out that he would otherwise hold in if he was standing up there in front of 200 people. And I think you get some real, true, raw emotions during first looks that you may not get during the ceremony if that's the first time the groom sees the bride. And then I always tell the groom to do a little walk around the bride because, you know, the back of the dress is just as important as the front. And then I like to reenact the first look a little bit here just so I can get some different angles. Like this one is one of my favorite shots where it's almost the opposite of what I did before, where our bride's out of focus, but you know it's her, and you have our groom in focus. Just building that suspense, telling that story. Here we are with the tap on the shoulder again. And then he's turning around with a big smile this time, and I'm getting a smile, and just a couple different angles. And when you put it all together in the wedding album, it just makes for a really nice spread. We got a picture of the two of them standing there. I always start off with what I call the boring wedding poses. It's where the two of you stand there right next to each other looking at me smiling, and then you look at each other smiling, and then, you know, look into each other's eyes, give a kiss on the forehead. Then we do some horizontals, and just very standard traditional wedding photography. And I get those out of the way early so I don't have to worry about doing them again later. At this point, I believe the groom had to go to the bathroom, so I took the opportunity to grab some solos of the bride, which I always love to do. My second shooter had done the solos of the groom already because he was ready almost an hour before the bride. Yeah, I just love a couple different combinations here. Smell her flowers. I think I said something stupid because her flowers were fake, and it just got a good laugh and natural reaction out of her. And I mean, beautiful smile, beautiful shot, makeup looks great, hair looks great. It's a picture that she'll love. And I tell her that that's probably going to be her husband's background of his phone when they get these pictures back. That's my goal, is at some point during the solos of the bride is to take a picture that ends up as the background of the phone of the groom. It's always the goal I have in mind. And then we got to shoot the back of the dress. The back of the dress is super important. And we have just some of her looking over her shoulder, looking back at me, smiling, showing off the back of the hair, the back of the dress, just all these different details. Then we have some really crappy pictures here in front of this Christmas tree where I'm just trying to figure out my lighting. And I will tell you, directly outside of frame, oh, we can see it right here. Right there. To the right, there's a curtain that's blocking all the tables that they were trying to get ready for dinner. I could only see about 2/3 of the tree. So that's what I had to work with. And it sure was interesting, but you know, we made it work. Like this picture, I'll probably crop that little part out of the curtain that's in there, but maybe we'll use that one. This one works, so that's cool. And then we're going to continue on around this venue, which is really, really cool golf course. But unfortunately, it was raining, and the bride picked this venue just because of the beautiful grounds, the beautiful outdoor ceremony site they had, and it rained. So we had to do everything inside. So I tried making the best of it. She was kind of bummed out about it, but we did what we could with what we had. So we got some cool shots in front of the Christmas trees that they had set up. That was really important to her. They had this beautiful stone architecture, and this was a cool little doorway where there's some nice light coming through, and I just love this picture. Like, there's beautiful window light to the camera right, and you get some of this cool old stone in there that the entire outside of the building looked like. So it was unfortunate that we couldn't get out there and shoot a little bit more outdoors. I'm going to get another one of these shots here. And then I stepped back kind of far, and there's this little archway. But this is also the cocktail hour room, as you can see the plates right here. So we'll probably crop those out when I deliver the final image, but I like that picture. And then we had to do a picture in front of the beautiful fireplace they had. And they told me that they were going to light it. And the problem with that is this is a gas fireplace. Even though there's wood logs in there, it is fueled by natural gas. So when you light a natural gas fireplace, the flames don't tend to be that big or give off that much light. So I actually told them to keep it off. And what I did is I just threw one of my flashes into the fireplace. And I threw a red gel and a full CTO on the flash. And it gives us this nice amber color that is similar to what a fire would look like, and you can't really tell. Then we did a couple test shots. I am standing on a staircase with my camera up against the back wall, and it was a very, very, very tight area to work in, but I think we got one cool picture out of it. Like, you can see the railing right here in the bottom of the image. I can edit that out pretty easily, so we'll pick that one. It's kind of cool. And we got a picture of the two of them looking at each other right here. And I already selected this one, but it looks like when I edit it, it was edited a little too dark. So we'll probably bump that up a little bit. Yeah, something like that. And I'll play with the colors a little, and I think it'll look pretty cool. And it's something that they'll like as well. Then we went in this other room that just had nice natural lighting, but unfortunately it was packed full of furniture other than this one little tiny corner. So, like, all right, let's go stand in this one little corner and see what we can do with it. And we made the best of what we had. You'd be shocked to know how little room we had to work in so many of these locations, but you could never tell from the pictures. And then, again, we're getting the vendors involved here. Just a cool shot of the bridal attendant just helping out the bride with some pictures. We went outside. As you can see, everything's soaking wet, right? Look at the ground behind them. Pouring rain, soaking wet, but they had this little outdoor space with a tent, and she just wanted a couple pictures outside showing off the venue, the golf course. I believe that the groom is a big time golfer, so he was really bummed out that it rained that day because I thought he was going to golf that morning. And got a couple pictures inside the tent that, all right, something cute with her looking at me and him giving her a kiss. You know, it's all about the bride sometimes, and they really like these pictures where it's all about them and who cares about the groom. So I'm going to keep going through these pictures, and this is why I'm able to edit so quickly in Lightroom, because I'm not looking at every picture full size like this and going through every single one. I'm looking at groupings. Like, okay, here's a grouping of images. Like, let's see what we got. We got all these pictures are very similar, shot in the exact same place. So I'm going to go ahead and hit N right here. This brings up our survey mode, which I can compare a bunch of pictures and see which ones I like the most. And what I like to do is I'll command click on the pictures that I don't like. So this one, she's not even looking. Let's get rid of it. Boom, gone. This one, his eyes are closed. Gone. This one, they're kind of far away from each other. Don't love it. This one doesn't seem like he's even looking at me. So gone. Cool. Then we have 3 similar pictures. We got 2 that are identical, so we'll get rid of this one that was already not selected, and I'll add this one to our selection. Cool, and we're moving on. It's that simple. I feel like the more that you like dwell on an image and look at it and stare at it and go back and forth, you're wasting time. In the end, just what is your eye naturally drawn to, and select it and then move on. You don't need to spend hours and hours thinking about if that's the right picture or not. And we got a picture of him throwing his nose in her cheek. It's kind of cute. And her with her eyes down. Cool. I like that. Showing off that makeup again. I think the makeup artist will really like that picture. Let's see what else. There's that one. I mean, you can see the top of the tent. I'll probably crop it so you don't see it. Let's see if I hit R, which brings up my crop. We'll bring it down so the tent's not in there. Yeah, that'll work. Cool. I did have a flash firing into the top of the tent just to help bring them up a little bit, because if not, it looked like this. That was without my flash on. So they were basically a silhouette. And I wanted to do a silhouette, but I just was not loving the background for the silhouette. So I chose to not even use any of them. And then we got a cool shot of just the 2 of them looking like bad aces here. Looking off to the side. Amazon just dropped off a package at my house. That's what happens when I spend way too much time looking at Amazon. And it's so easy to click that buy now button. That photo gear just keeps showing up at my house. And then they had these cool clear umbrellas, which were okay. Didn't love having them inside of it. So we had them just raise it up just a little bit above their heads so you can see that it's there, but it's not covering their heads. And then I tried doing a cool shot like through all the tables. Again, very, very minimal space. Like, this outdoor patio area was covered in outdoor furniture. So I had to work around that and really couldn't move a lot. And there was poles holding up this tent every 8 feet. So you couldn't get too close to the edge of the tent because the rain was blowing in there sideways. And it was rough to work around that. So I tried getting us outside to get some pictures for her outdoors because I knew it was super important to her. But unfortunately, the weather was not playing nice that day. And then we jump into some family pictures here. Start off, she's just chatting with Dad there. That's a cute little picture, a little candid. Then we have a picture of her and her sister. Cool. Then we have the 2 of them looking at me. Then making like a silly face at each other. And a little smile at each other. Then Mom came in with the 3 girls. Alright, then Mom came in, and we got a picture of the 3 girls together. And they did not want to hold their flowers for these pictures. Normally I encourage it if you are part of the bridal party or the bride to hold your flowers, but she didn't want them, so it's cool. They weren't big fans of putting their hands on their hips, so they just wanted to let their hands hang. Not what I normally do, but it's cool. It's something different. And hey, if it's what the couple wants, then we'll do that. Right on. And we're going to get a picture of the whole family. Mom, Dad, and sister. And, of course, our bride. And then this is where I'm going to really use my compare mode. So I'm going to look at this. I have 4 pictures, almost all identical. This one, Dad's eyes are closed. This one, Dad's not even looking at me. This one, Dad's eyes closed. Cool. We got a good one. I don't have to do any Photoshop work and move faces around. Love that. Saves me some time. But sometimes, unfortunately, that is the case where we have to move some faces around, open some eyes, make people pay attention to me. But this is why I shoot so many pictures of families, especially when we're doing large groupings. I like to make sure that there's a lot of options so that I minimize my chances of having to do that Photoshop work on the back end. And here's a vertical of the family picture. Then we got bride's mom and dad with our groom. Cool. Will you do that one? Love it. Let's make sure everyone's eyes are open up. Yeah, that's cool. And let's see. The same thing, but vertical. Everyone's eyes are open. Great. 2-star, 2-star. The reason I do 2 stars. Alright, and now we have bride's parents, groom, and sister. I love it. There's our full family grouping. Nope, mom's eyes are closed. Groom's eyes are closed. Let's go back. Everyone's looking in that one. Love that. Awesome. Then a closer shot. Good. Like it. Look at this. I was taking a picture while turning my camera. Okay. Because I was going from horizontal to a vertical. And I just happened to push the button in the middle of turning my camera. So we got a nice blurry, terrible, awful picture. And this is why I do not send every picture to my couples. Because you do not care about pictures like that. Nice. And then we got a vertical picture of the family. Here we go. Cool. Love that. And there's another one of the same combination, just cropped a little bit tighter. Then we got our bride and our dad. Again, we got a couple of these during the first look with dad, but we're going to throw a couple more in there. And then bride with her mom. And standard pictures for me when it comes to doing family pictures is usually bride and groom together with bride's parents. Then we throw siblings in there. Then we take parents out and just siblings. Then we do both sets of parents. And then I'll ask the bride's parents to step to the side. And then we'll do just groom's parents. And then we'll bring in groom's parents and siblings. And then we'll have the parents step out. And we will do just siblings. And that's kind of like a standard way of taking pictures for me when it comes to families. And then anything on top of that, I will ask the couple if they want any other family combinations, if there's in-laws or nieces or nephews, grandparents, stuff like that, where they would like to add those to the pictures as well. So like for example, we have our groom's family here where we have his nephew and his brother's girlfriend who we threw in the picture as well. Cool. We already have one of those selected. Love it. And then just the vertical of it. I like to shoot vertical and horizontal when possible. Again, just thinking about the album and giving them options for later on down the road. And then here's just a picture of our bride and groom with the groom's mom, and then bride and groom with the groom's dad. Just a couple shots that they requested as we finished up kind of my standard pictures. And then the little guy was running at me, so I had to grab a quick picture of that. Thought it was kind of funny. He's like, I'm over pictures, so what I'm going to do is charge the photographer. And I said, if you're going to do that, I'm going to take a picture of it. Cool. And just a couple more family combinations. Oh, here we go. We have the bride and groom with both sets of parents. I think this is nice. We have the joining of two families, and it's just nice to include everybody. And because we didn't have large families on either side, we photographed everybody together in one big picture. Then we got some solos of the groom with his parents, with his mom. Nice, very nice, cool. And then we have pictures of dad, and vertical with dad, dad shaking hands. Love that. Eyes closed. Yep. I like that one. Dad looking at him. I'll try and pick out the eyes being closed in this stage, but after I send all these pictures off to my AI editor, get them back, I do go through them in the enlarged view, where if a picture is slightly out of focus or somebody's eyes are closed, I will check and see if I have a different variation of it. And if I don't, I will sometimes do some editing, or I'll just cut that picture out. And we have pictures with the groom and his best man, aka his brother. And we got groom and his sister and his nephew. Got some cool pictures of that. Old man was cool, giving high fives to everybody. Just a couple pictures of the groom interacting with our little guy over here, getting some high fives, hugging him. Alright, cool. Now we're moving on to family pictures are over. And the bride had to put it in her big, long cathedral veil. Super cool, but I don't recommend keeping them in for very long because they have a tendency to pull your hair. So if you do have one, I usually recommend putting it in closer to the ceremony. So we have the bride sister putting on the veil here, and just a couple cool shots of that. And then we have somebody who's a little bit more experienced step in. This is the bridal attendant from the venue, and she might appreciate some of these pictures. A couple behind the scenes here, and then we had a cool shot with just throwing the bride's veil in the air, which I already have selected. that was a little tough one because this was the most amount of room that we could afford to use indoors without having something else cluttering up the background. So it was a little bit of a challenge, and ooh, got a cool little action shot here when we went to throw the veil, and it popped right out of her hair. That's always a fun time. I like that one. I think it's funny. I'm going to give it to her. And let's see if we get a good reaction out of her. And kissing, and that's where she goes, oh no, it fell out. And we just have one with him just holding it off to the side, and then we have one with it all sprawled out on the staircase. Look at that, just totally missing focus. Good job, Canon R5. Guess we're just gonna completely ignore the fact that that was out of focus. And we spread her veil out across the floor. I didn't love this idea on the staircase because, take a look at this. The bottom of her veil, it looks blue. And that's because we had window light coming in from camera left. And then the lights on this tree were super, super warm. So it was very conflicting color cast. And don't get me wrong, I will be able to edit that so it looks a little bit more even, but it's just more work for me later on. And when I can, I try to get it right in camera to avoid situations like that. Like, for example, here was another picture where we had that blue light coming in, and I already desaturated the blues a little bit, and it helped a little, but I think it's going to need a little more work. That was just one of the pictures that I gave on the same day edit. I guess my camera doesn't know orientation. That's kind of cool, where we kill some of the ambient, where I was using a flash, and then we brought our groom in for a picture. Fun little shot there. Bride and groom coming up the stairs. The videographer was doing his thing. I was just kind of looking around for other different shots to just capture. That's kind of cool. And then we have the ceremony time. Okay, moving right along. Halfway through all of our pictures already. Look at that. And we have mom and dad walking down the aisle. I take a whole lot of pictures because you never know when they're going to smile. You never know when they're going to look up, look down. I like having a couple variations, so I take a bunch. I usually give one or two of the best. And then we have bride's mom coming down her aisle with, I believe it was her brothers. We have a nice big smile from her. Oh, right here, how about that one? And then our group came down. He came down very quickly right after the bride's mom, so I had to step off to the side because the bride's mom was still saying goodbye to her brothers, or thank you to her brothers. And the groom is already walking down behind them, so I had to very quickly get that shot. And one thing I did not love here was, if you take a look, the DJ set up his speaker directly at the back of the aisle, and it was in all these pictures. And I'm going to be honest with you, when it comes time to make an album, I'm going to have to take that out because I just hate it. It's such an eyesore back there at the end of the aisle. But we got our groom walking down the aisle, rubbing his hands together like, yeah, let's get this party started. Then we got our best man, cool, giving his brother a little pat on the shoulder like, you got this. We have our maid of honor. Hey, if you're ever in a bridal party, make sure you're looking at the photographer when you walk down the aisle. Mom was sitting right in front of me crying, got a quick picture of her. Sister was behind me crying. Oh, man. I just honestly picked up my second camera body and took a picture from my hip, hoping that it would pick up her face, and I guess it didn't. And we got our groom ready to go, waiting for his soon-to-be wife to walk down the aisle, and here she comes with dad. Nice. They're setting up her dress at the end of the aisle. Let's see where we find a good picture here. There's one. Cool. Oh, there it is. Love that. Coming down the aisle with dad. Got this nice little low shot here. Then when they got a little bit closer, we got another perspective. The bride, she knew what's up. Staring right at me, smiling. I love it. I love when that happens. You can either look at the groom or look at me. Don't look down. Alright. Groom giving a handshake on the handoff with dad. Like that. Videographer. Yep. That's all good. We just won't. We'll just pretend that never happened. And we got a couple pictures of them just standing there holding hands. This is one of the fastest ceremonies I've ever witnessed. It was maybe 4.5 minutes, if that. Our officiant gave a little speech, got some laughs, and we got our ring exchange already. I didn't even have time to swing around the aisle to get other perspectives. This is why I have a second shooter, because in a ceremony, especially that's this quick, I don't really have the opportunity to like walk around and get different angles and perspectives of what's going on. So that's why I have my second shooter, make sure that they can cover things that I'm not covering, not shooting over my shoulder and just getting slightly different angles. Usually we like to focus on the bride's face from the sides, especially during the kiss. We also like to be able to get some of the parents' faces and reactions to what's going on. So those are some of the shots that my second shooter's getting while I'm sitting in the middle of the aisle, getting the more standard stuff, I guess you would call it. As the bride and groom are walking back down the aisle, we have them stop about halfway, give each other a kiss. I love it. I love having that kissing shot, but with all the guests in the background. And let's see. Just walking down the aisle, we have our best man and maid of honor trying to push past people because some people decided they wanted to start leaving before the bridal party and the parents had an opportunity to walk down. So it's all good. We're able to get those shots. And then it is time for details. So it's cocktail hour at this point, and I don't usually shoot cocktail hour because I don't love taking pictures of people shoving food in their faces. It's just not the most flattering pictures. Unless somebody requests that I take pictures of that, I usually just don't shoot during cocktail hour. I will stay in the room and I'll photograph all the details. And then I set up my room light, and there's my second shooter. And as guests start entering the room, I am just taking some test shots. Nobody was officially announced into the room other than the bride and groom. Nice and simple. Nothing too fancy. And I'm just taking shots of people walking around the room, so I'm testing the light in different areas of the room. We got our MC announcing people into the room, another nice shot that the vendors might enjoy. Then we got our bride and groom just ready to party, throwing their hands up in the air, enjoying themselves, going right into our first dance. When it comes to the first dance, I love to get creative and move around the room a lot and shoot a lot of different things, like these pictures that you see here. And I usually tell my second shooter in this instance to just really focus on anything that's going on the dance floor, because I'm going to be floating around the room taking different shots and I don't want to miss anything that might happen. So you hang out on the dance floor, shoot the important stuff that's going on, and I'll try and go get something creative. After the first dance, they immediately went into a dance set. I usually like to focus on the bride and groom, parents, and bridal party at this point, just to get some additional pictures of them. And then we went into toasts. Boom, toast, toast. I like toast. Oh, and then we went into our parent dances. So we had our bride with her dad. There's a nice shot of them smiling, looking at each other. It's cute. It's always nice having those parent dances with just a nice moment with the two of them looking at each other smiling. Sometimes they look at me and smile. I don't usually interrupt the dances and ask them to do this, but if they stop and both look at me, I'll take the picture real quick. And then we had some more parent dances with the groom and his mom. And I like to just get my lights all set up. There is no speeches at this wedding, nice and simple. So I set up my lights for nothing because I didn't know there weren't going to be speeches. And the bride just asked me to grab a couple pictures of her and her college friends off to the side of the dance floor. Cool. And then they asked for individuals with each of them. So we did that real quick. And then we had the groom with some of his friends, which we also did. Just very similar to the formals that we do with the family, except these are all people that weren't necessarily there during the formals. So we just usually do these on the side of the dance floor. It's no big deal. It doesn't have to be anything special. It's just one step above a cell phone picture. So It's also a nice memory for the people involved in the picture to have. Then whenever somebody else is setting up like a little family combination or trying to take a cell phone picture and I notice it or I'm standing nearby, I'll usually try and jump over and try and grab that shot as well. Just because if somebody took the time to set up that shot with the bride and groom, it's got to be something important. So why not take a good picture for them and not just a cell phone picture? And then we go into dancing pictures. Lots and lots of dancing pictures here. Cool. Just looking for ones with fun animated people. This guy was awesome. Look at that. It's a fun shot. The bride is getting down with some of her friends there. She's smiling a lot. Oh, yep, I don't know what she was doing there, but she was really enjoying dancing with her husband. And of course, we have the guys that just go all out at every wedding, love singing, love dancing. There's always a couple at every wedding, and those people are just sometimes the life of the party, I'll tell you. So I'm just selecting a couple of their pictures here. What face is he making there? There we go. Listen, when it comes to dance floor pictures, the lighting's not always going to be perfect just because you got DJ lights going on, you got venue lights going on, and it's a dance floor picture. Like, it doesn't have to be anything super creative or amazing over the top. As long as you get the shot that they're looking for, they'll be happy. And another one with a vendor from the venue. Get him in there, get some action shots. Then we got our cake here. Got all of our parents standing off here in the background looking. Normally I don't love glass in a venue because of all the reflections going on, but in this case I like it because in the background they have all these little tiny track lights that just kind of look like stars. I mean, what do you think? If you just look at the reflections in the glass back there, it looks like stars. I kind of like it. Something a little different. This is where all of her friends were telling him to smash the cake in her face, and she was not having it. But it's okay. He was nice in the end. He did not ruin her makeup. Smart man there. Happy wife, happy life. Is that what they say? And here we go. They're taking a picture together, and he was very tempted to shove that entire piece of cake in her face. She was like, no, let's go ahead and put that down. And he found it hilarious because there's some guys over off to the side just heckling them. And I loved it. It was so funny. And hey, you know, Mom and her friends are there too, showing up. So gotta get a picture of them. All right, now we're on to the night shot. You got a couple pictures of my second shooter here. It was still like lightly misting. You can see it in the background of the picture here, but it made for a really cool picture, and it was cold out. And this is just her exhaling, and it just created this like cloud of smoke around her with the misty rain coming down. I'm like, that's kind of cool. And then we got the couple outside for their nighttime picture, and they had these confetti cannons that they wanted to use, and that made a really cool picture. We got the bride looking all surprised, and we got the groom looking down at her. I love it. They're going to love that shot. And it was a little windy, so unfortunately all the confetti blew off to the side, but it still looked really cool. And then, oh, one person was a little late to the game there. But that's kind of cool. This is in, right? Where you have the foreground in focus and the background out of focus, or the subject out of focus, and the something else in focus. So we have a piece of confetti right here in focus and the couple out. I don't know. People like it. I'll give it to them. And then there's one more confetti cannon left, and we just had somebody kneel down. Actually, it was my second shooter who knelt down behind them and just popped it off behind them, and it just all very quickly blew away. They wanted a picture on the piano, so we did that real quick on the way back, and that was our nighttime picture. And then at this point, just dancing for the rest of the night. And the groom with some of his buddies over to the side. And a little more dancing. This guy was loving the dance floor all night long. Cool, cool, cool. Anything that looks fun, we're just going to select, put 2 stars on it. And, ooh, bride and her sister, you know, just having fun. End of the night. Wedding's almost over. They have a couple little groupings that are just like, hey, take our picture, take our picture. Sure, no problem, my friends. A cool little cigar bar. Got a shot of that with their custom matchbook. And the bride dance with their mom as the night's coming to an end. And that is it. 4-hour editing. Well, there you have it. The next thing I'm going to do is take all these pictures, send them off to my AI editor. I personally use Imagine AI. Love it. Upload those pictures to them. They download them, do the little AI magic, and about 30 minutes later, I'll have them pictures sent back to me. I'll go through them one time, make any little final tweaks that need to be made. It'll take me about another hour or so. And this wedding will be ready to be delivered. It's a nice, simple, quick workflow. I don't have to use any other software. Everything's done inside of Lightroom and my AI editor. I'm not using something else for culling or anything. I'm not using Photoshop for editing. And it's a pretty straightforward editing workflow. Are there any parts of this workflow that you want me to go more into depth with? Because this is just how I cull my weddings. And you get to see a little bit of how I shoot a wedding as well. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you for the next one. Peace.